Hi, I'm Erik Voss, and HBO's Westworld released a second mysterious trailer for its upcoming second season. Now, as is typically the case with Westworld, the more you stare at this imagery, the deeper into the maze you wander until you reach the center of the truth and you say to yourself, oh, that doesn't look like anything to me. In seriousness, I did find lots of subtle details hidden throughout this trailer that could be hinting at where season 2 is gonna go. So let's review this frame by frame. And spoiler warning in case you wanna go into the season blind, but yeah, admit it, you can't help it. So join me and watch this first clip.
Look at this world. This beautiful world. We built this world together.
Okay, this trailer was produced by series co-creator Jonathan Nolan himself, and he said that since it aired during the big game, he wanted to start off with stereotypical American Western imagery that you would see in all those car and beer commercials, and then blow everyone's mind as they realize it's actually a promo for murderous robots. The music playing here is a full piano cover of Kanye West's Runaway, keeping in with the show's great tradition of that saloon player piano covering music from other genres. Looking at this song's deeper meaning, I love the thematic connection to the events on the show. Kanye's lyrics are making a toast to the douchebags, embracing his badness, and warning loved ones to run away from his destructive behavior. There's definitely a parallel between that idea and what Dolores is saying here. The last we saw her, it was during a toast, during which she embraced her true violent independence by murdering Ford. Now she's warning us to run away from her destructive behavior because, yeah, she has no intention to play it nice anymore. In those early shots, we can see the hand of Maeve as it clutches her daughters. Maeve's decision at the end of season 1 was to refuse to escape the park, instead stay in and find her daughter. Now more about Maeve's journey in a bit, but let's move on to the next section.
A world where dreams come true. A world where you can be free.
Next, we see the recurring image of this trailer, the charging bulls. Now, the editing misdirects us into thinking that these were the bulls on the ranch, but then it pulls back to reveal these are artificial steers in the lab below, in front of a broken screen with a malfunctioning overhead light as the lab descends into chaos. There's a few things I just love about using this bull imagery. For one, it evokes the running of the bulls tradition in Pamplona, Spain, a pastime which, like Westworld, is a violent delight with violent ends that thrill seekers do to show how tough and macho they are. Actually, fun fact, in the movie City Slickers, it's exactly what those bored adventure-craving men are doing at the beginning of the movie before they decide to get their rocks off with a Western adventure, much like the visitors of Westworld. But second, this imagery echoes a line from Dolores in the very first episode when she explains the cattle on her ranch to Teddy.
That's the Judas steer. The rest will follow wherever you make him go.
In animal herding, the Judas steer is the steer that leads the others into the slaughterhouse, while its own life is spared. Traitor! But in that moment, that was some sneaky foreshadowing of Dolores' role as the Judas steer within the clockwork of this narrative. A host leading Teddy, whom we later found out was also a host, to his own slaughter, while Dolores was spared to repeat this process. I think the steers in this trailer are meant to reflect this idea. In season 2, it looks like Dolores is once again set up to be the Judas steer who leads other hosts to get slaughtered. But it's interesting how later we see that it's actually Maeve who's leading those charging bulls. In season 1, remember, she was given the ability to control other hosts, and now it looks like she's using a stampede to attack the Delos security. Does this suggest that Maeve and Dolores will be opposing forces, seeking revolution in their own conflicting ways? One commanding hosts to murder innocent humans trying to escape them, and the other commanding hosts to merely overthrow the oppressors trying to confine them. And now chew on that meaty idea as we move on to the next section.
This world deserves to die.
Okay, lots of interesting shots here. First, there's Bernard accompanying a task force overlooking this big body of water. If you look closely, there's a bunch of corpses washing up on the shore down below. It looks to me like Bernard may have ridden up here after that shot of him with Ellie and Stubbs in the last teaser. This may also be the same scene from that teaser where we see him looking down confused at a dead washed up tiger. It sounds like season 2 will feature Bernard and a small group of human survivors struggling within the park as the hosts begin to take over. Maybe they're surveying that carnage of a bunch of corpses that may have been dumped in a river and washed up downstream in this lake. However, are we seeing Bernard here or Arnold, the co-creator of the park, whom Ford designed Bernard to look like? The reason I bring this up is check out this next shot of a host getting restrained in the lab. That is Peter Abernathy, the host cast as Dolores' father. But remember, a previous narrative cast him as the professor, the leader of a cannibalistic cult who was obsessed with Shakespeare, which was, of course, the source of his reveries.
These violent delights have violent ends.
We could be seeing him malfunctioning under that old narrative and reset in this new narrative, which would place these events in the past long before the current timeline. That would actually make sense because remember, at the end of last season, Charlotte sent Abernathy out of the park to smuggle out park data. But another reason I think this might be taking place in the past, and we might be looking at Arnold instead of Bernard, is look at this dude in the background in the upper right. Doesn't that kind of look like the young version of Ford that we saw in the flashbacks? You know, when they CGI'd Anthony Hopkins, he looked all weird. Of course, this could be someone else, and yeah, while I would be surprised if the show tries to trick us again with dual timelines in season 2, I think it's inevitable that we will see past events in flashback form, showing us more of the origin of the park and the Delos Corporation's sneaky motives. Things that we still know very little about, other than that Delos wants this AI technology for more than just entertainment. There's another shot of that division of Union soldiers that older William and Teddy came into conflict with last season. Remember, we last saw young William, played by Jimmi Simpson, massacring all the Confederate soldiers. Since Simpson is announced to return for the second season, maybe we're seeing him here on horseback as he travels on more of his journey to become the Man in Black decades later. There's also this creepy shot of Bernard as the half-baked, milky host sneaks up behind him. By the way, we know this is Bernard, not Arnold, because in Arnold's day, hosts weren't made out of this milk goo just yet. They had a more android frame underneath the skin exterior. And there's a quick shot of Teddy looking alarmed as a hand covers his mouth. We don't really know what's gonna happen to Teddy this season other than he just kind of looks terrified as Dolores drags him along and she murders everybody. Let's move on.
Because this is your world. We've lived by your rules long enough. We can save this world.
Okay, in this section, notice this shot of a fancy cocktail party with the lights of a city outside the windows. That is Logan back there, brother-in-law to William, whom we last saw being sent off on a horse without his clothes. So I'm guessing this is another flashback to this time before coming with William to the park. But notice how none of the guests at this party appear to be moving. So yeah, these are hosts. This could be like a work party put on by Delos, remember, which Logan and William work for, to show off their new models of hosts. One thing that would excite Logan to drag William into the park. Then there's a shot of older William, Ed Harris, the Man in Black, in the pouring rain. Behind him looks to me to be Lawrence. Remember, last scene having outlived his usefulness and bleeding out hanging from a tree. We saw him hanging again, swinging from that tree in the last teaser with a horse pulled up in the background behind him. So I suppose William has returned and found another use for him. And then after shots of Clementine examining her own hand in reflection and her own humanity and soul as chaos erupts behind her, and more shots of the bull stampede wrecking these security guards, we see their Judas steer, Maeve. She's wearing more battle-ready attire than when we last saw her leaving the train. And it's interesting that her face shows up right as Dolores' voice say, "We can save this world." Which, yeah, fuels my theory that Maeve might emerge as a hero of this story with Dolores as a villain. And let's move on to this final section.
We can burn it to the ground. And from the ashes, build a new world. Our world.
Okay, here there's another shot of a Native American from the Ghost Nation tribe. According to Hector in episode 4 of last season, the Ghost Nation possesses insight into Westworld's secrets, including the maze and these figures called shades.
This is a shade. Sacred native lore. They make figures of him. The man who walks between worlds. They were sent from hell to oversee our world.
I'm really hoping season 2 will show us more of the Ghost Nation's mythology. We also see the aftermath of the Delos Gala massacre. Notice the wolf that passes through. This is the same wolf that appeared in Dolores' visions of the Wyatt massacre in episodes 2 and 10 of last season. Remember, an artificial wolf head also appeared in the background during a flashback with Dolores and Arnold. Maybe this wolf is meant to represent the animalistic violence of the Wyatt narrative that Arnold stored inside Dolores. And then there's this interesting shot of Maeve, and it looks like Hector there looking up at falling snow. Now look closely at the background there. That could be a person wearing a kimono. I think they are in Samurai World here. Remember, the end of last season teased the existence of other parks beyond Westworld, including one with an SW logo, Samurai World. Recently, the show's website was updated with these hints at the existence of 6 total parks, with one of them showing this image, which when you look it up in reverse Google image search, brings up Machiro Tanaka in Japan's Nara Prefecture. After some shots of a fight in the underground map room, there's a blink and you'll miss it shot of these dudes wearing bandoliers and black masks. Ooh. Now, if you remember in episode 8 of last season, Charlotte described something like this when she was talking about Ford's upcoming Wyatt narrative.
Created a horde of masked men to terrorize guests and proselytize, come advertise the coming of some end-all villain named Wyatt.
Perhaps these guys are those terrorists, which Dolores will now command on her Wyatt rampage. Actually, you can see one of these guys, the one with the long hair, flanking Dolores in the final shot. And then old Milky McMuscles throws a dude against this machinery, and if you look closely, that machinery is part of the 3D printing tech that's used to construct host bodies, kind of the artificial womb that this fella just slithered out. It's just pretty terrifying to see him shove a live human back into this thing, the creation of the machine mutilating its creator by returning him to his old womb of sorts. Yikes. This final shot of Dolores, as she says, "Our world," according to Jonathan Nolan, is the one shot in this trailer that won't be in the show. It was shot just for this trailer, but yeah, it's a very bold declaration of war from the new conqueror of Westworld. A question for you guys. Do you see Maeve and Dolores as the hero and villain of this story, respectively, or is it the other way around in your eyes? And if not those two, who do you see as the true hero of Westworld? William, Teddy, Bernard, Stubbs? Comment with your thoughts down below, or tweet me directly at Erik Voss, and follow New Rockstars on Twitter at New Rockstars for updates on our videos. And of course, subscribe to New Rockstars for deep analysis and explainers of this amazing Westworld series. I actually did a video on the first teaser to come out last summer and explanations of the timeline and big mysteries at the end of the first season. And I am super looking forward to covering season 2 more when it premieres on April 22nd. And if you really like us and want to help us grow, you can contribute to this channel on Patreon. A big thanks to all of our donors, especially Kenny Smith. Thanks for watching. Bye.